Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk after Arsenal have beaten Sheffield United 2-1 to put them into the semi-finals of the FA Cup. What a win that is. Thank God for Danny Ceballos. Oh, I've got so much stick about Danny Ceballos for the last few weeks or so. Oh, he's your boy. He's that guy. You wanted him in. Well, you're celebrating his goals now, aren't we? So, lovely stuff. Absolutely brilliant. It was one of the most frustrating games to watch because of the referee. I don't understand where this guy's head is at in regards to what is a foul, what is a dive. And thank God they were offside for two of their goals, which is so lucky. I'm not even going to try and beat around the bush. There was a massive element of luck in that game, 100%. I can't even deny it, whatever. I just thought we would nick it. Syed Amir says, nice prediction by you, Tom. To be fair, I think I said 1-0, but I did say that I think it would be cagey, and I think that we just would get that win. So in that sense, I was spot on. Scoreline, not so much. Joseph, hello, sir. Too close for comfort. 100%, mate. 100%. Oh, Danny says, Jersey Gouda. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Colin says, disaster has been averted. Thank God. It's nice for us to get a late goal, isn't it? It's nice that we're the ones on the end of actually getting a late goal for once. Thank God we have done. I'm so glad so many of you are tuning in to join me in the chat box and to celebrate 2 wins in a row. What's going on? Aaron Letchford, one of our members, says, hi, Tom. We needed United to score first as we played so passive until then. Yeah, it was, I think what the thing with Arsenal is that after this restart period, we're starting just so slowly. It's so difficult to try and get to the games. And I think that's a theory or rather a theme across lots of games that we've seen so far. It's a really, really difficult sort of situation to get yourself G'd up. There's no crowd, and usually that benefits the away team. But Sheffield United played all right today. I thought they were quite dirty in certain instances, and I don't understand the referee. Whatever, I don't understand some of his decision making. I really don't get it. I really don't get it whatsoever. Avinash, seeing another one of our members, says, every game I watch, I find it harder to buy into Arteta. Saka played his 4th consecutive game and he subs Lacazette. Well, of course he subs Lacazette because Saka was playing much better than Lacazette, Avinash. So I kind of disagree with what you're saying there. I get it's frustrating in times to see his game selection, but I kind of disagree with what you're saying there. I would have kept on Saka over Lacazette any day. Matt Gray says we go to Wembley. Carrie Hardy, another one of our members, says our attacking midfield movement is lacking. Surprising, really. Tiger T, another one of our members, says very stagnant performance today, but we got the 3 points. I mean, it was not a league game, mate. It wasn't a league game. It was a cup game. I mean, the fact that we've won is confusing everyone in the world of Arsenal right now. We're on 2 wins in a row. It's great. Sassi says, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Blades 1, Gunners 2. Fantastic line. Love that. Uros Josic says, we are bad on the counter. Yes, against a side like that, we weren't doing too great. Charlie and Guyan says, a win without Özil and Guendouzi. Did Arteta get it right? Okay, it's a good starting question. Let's talk about what we saw in terms of the lineup. So the lineup was weird in a sense because I assumed that Kolasinac would play left wing back. It turned out to be Tierney. Thank God it was Tierney because he was man of the match, no doubt. Tierney had the best game he has ever played in an Arsenal shirt as far as I'm concerned. It was absolutely spot on from the guy. Dived into tackles, got blocks in, was tenacious. His crossing was really good. There were a couple of missed ones and overhit ones, but the drag backs to the edge of the box for Pepe's opportunity were great. There was crosses in the second half that were really good. He was just all over that left-hand side. Was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Avon Teddington says, when will people start to understand with this group of clapped out seniors, Arteta is pulling off a near miracle every time we win? The state of the attitude of some players is unreal. And I think that is something to pick up on. Again, it's so frustrating sometimes to see the same mistakes being made over and over again. And the goal that we conceded was just classic Arsenal. The amount of times I've seen us just kick the ball out into one of our own players to deflect off into another player's path. We did it against Burnley. We've now done it against Sheffield United. There's a couple of other examples that off the top of my head I can't name, but it's happened so many times that it's just getting on the board of being a theme. And the players that are doing it just need to butt their ideas up 100%. Vinny Eagle says, Xhaka again proving how important he is in the middle of the park. That is definitely our weakest position. We need to get Torreira back alongside Xhaka to give us a decent half decent base. I agree with you there. Once again, we're winning a game and Xhaka's in the side. He made a couple of errors. There was a couple of times he gave the balls away, but he drove the ball out from the back so many times. It was an element of his game that I've not seen too much, but he confidently brought the ball out from the back and did really, really well in that instance as well. He won a couple of fouls in his own half to relieve some pressure, and those are things that just don't get noticed. They just don't get noticed by people enough, and that's what you need to be looking at. I mean, when we conceded the goal, I had someone tweet me saying about Granit Xhaka. I was just like, I'll just do one. I'm just going to get off my timeline. If that's what you're focusing on when we've conceded, I'm sorry, but we need to move on and focus on about bigger things. Kitchener has become a member. Thank you so much, Kitchener, for becoming a member. I know you're a long-time listener, and I really appreciate you joining us in the TGT crew. He says, loss against Brighton was painful and we have a lot to improve. But come on, boys. We just won 2 away games back-to-back. This feels really good. Yes, it does. Perfectly summed up. Perfect attitude for one of our members. Welcome to the team, mate. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Harry Robinson says, Pepe bossed it. Pepe was so much better than he was in the Southampton game. So much better. And do you know why? And I saw a little comment asking me a question about the reasons why it was better. Let's have a look. Where are we? Here we go. Muppet. Fantastic name. Good on you. Says Tom, what did we make of Mainsley's performance? And he's using the nickname. He's a long-time listener. He knows. Mainsley was fantastic. He was great. He was really good. And he drove the ball out from the back. Yes, his passing wasn't spot on, and maybe I'm being a bit hyperbolic about the performance. And if we hadn't have come out with the win, I might have been a little bit more scathing, but we won. So I'm already going to be in a good mood. But he was better than what I could have expected. I kind of hoped he'd play in the middle of the park, and we might have seen Cedric, who was actually supposedly in more contention than we thought. Cedric hopefully coming in for the midweek game against Norwich, which would be a really good sort of test for the guy. But Mainsley, I really like to see what he was about there. He was really good. Pepe definitely benefited from that too. We've got a brand new member, if I'm not mistaken, just popped up. Pramod in the chat. Thank you and ever so welcome for joining us. You're joining a fantastic group of members, really positive people. And who knows, with next month, expert members are going to get their chance to have their own very own podcast on the show as well. So I'm looking forward to kicking that off with the guys. So let's carry on with some more of your comments. Avon Teddington says Nelson was responsible for the late goal against Brighton when he gave the goal away. He might be on the bench for a few games. It's true. I mean, Nelson obviously didn't get on. Aubameyang didn't get on. Guendouzi wasn't in the squad again. Özil wasn't in the squad. The Özil thing is funny because they tweeted out, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but they tweeted out saying that he had a back problem. And that is the classic. That's like what Arsenal have done is they've gone into their Twitter account, they've gone to drafts and templates. They've selected Özil's got a back problem as the reason. They've probably got like a drop-down box of little excuses that they've got for Özil not being in the squad to try and cover up the real reason, which is he just simply doesn't care at the moment. He doesn't care right now. And for that reason, he went in the squad. And fair play for Arteta to stick into him. Fair play, 100%. Military Gunner says the commentators were rooting against Arsenal. My God. Okay, let's talk about the penalty. Because the penalty, I'm so sick of this term, it was soft, okay? A pen's a pen. He fouls him in the box, he clips Lacazette's back of his heel, and he goes down, and it's a pen, because it's a foul in the box. This whole soft penalty thing is a load of BS. It just doesn't compute in my brain how you can use, but it was soft. It was a foul, and therefore it's a penalty. It just really annoys me. Maniac says, Tom, you really think Mainsley was brilliant? I don't remember one good pass he made all game. No, and you're probably right. There were probably some aspects of his game that weren't great, and it probably is the euphoria of a win that is slightly biasing my assumptions. But I thought he really did help Pepe. I thought his runs was more exciting. I thought he was more dynamic. And yeah, he gave the ball away a couple of times. But he didn't give the ball away to a frequency that Bellerin was giving the ball away against Southampton whatsoever. So for me, Mainsley had a decent performance and I enjoyed it. Matt Gray, one of our members, says, I'm so happy for Pepe and Tierney. They were both brilliant. Best I've ever seen Tierney play. Simple as that. Tierney man of the match. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Let's see your biggest comment in the chat box. Summing up that game in one word. One word, please, guys, in the chat. How would you describe that? Remember when we did this last time? Arsenal was just the word most people use. I'm assuming that's not the word that you're going to be using today, lads. So one word in the comment box. How would you sum up Arsenal's performance against Sheffield United? Whilst we get there, though, Avon Teddington, AMM was to go outside of Pepe, which helped Pepe a lot, and that is a definite. The overlapping was really good. Jarian Guyan says relief. Avanash, one of our members, says phew, and that's probably another really good word to describe it. Muppet says Emery, which is a very weird statement. I'm not sure where you're going with that, mate. Luca Howard has cheated. You've cheated there, mate. Just by putting two words together without a space does not count, but I'll give it to you. He says heart attack. Tiger C says familiar. Pratyush says meh. I mean, we've just won, guys. We've won. Have a little bit, have more positivity. Syed says hope. Alvan says grind. Yeah, that was a really good word to describe it. We grinded out that win 100%. Shush reckons that we were cheated. Cheated, I think, is, I mean, seeing as we won, I'm not going to go down the route of being too salty about the referee's performance. Had we not have, I definitely would have done. I mean, the instance in the box, I think it was Nketiah. I might be wrong, but Nketiah was in the box. He shielded the ball by putting his foot down between the player and the ball, got his body in between the player and the ball. He goes over, their player goes over, and the ref blows for a foul. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it whatsoever. 8-11-94. No, there's no. I don't see this. You look at the instance of the goal that we conceded. There's nothing that Mustafi can do other than let Kolasinac boot the ball at his face. Like, I saw a lot of people tweeting about Mustafi in that instance. Maybe I've missed something, but I just felt like, what can you do when Kolasinac boots the ball against you? What I thought he headed balls away. He put himself between the player and the ball. He cleared the ball when he needed to. He did it out. I thought Holding came on and did another good job heading balls away, keeping the pressure off. And there's one player that we've not talked about yet, and that's Martinez. First of all, let's talk about his saves and his stops. Saves and stops were really good. Made some really good saves against Billy Sharp right at the end of the game. Some good stops earlier on. I don't think there was too much he could do about the goal. It was very, very similar to the Manchester United goal that Igalo scored against Norwich. There's not too much at point-blank range you can do in that situation. But the distribution, oh my days. It's just, I was exhausted watching Martinez try and kick the ball out from the back so many times. It was just like heart and mouth situation. His long balls are really good sometimes when he kicks the ball out long, but my God, he really does not know what to do when he turns with the short kick it out. It's so frustrating. Kitchener says Martinez was Tony Kroos with gloves. His long balls are great, but I'm sorry, his short game was just... And it's the level of confidence he has to do it. He's like, what are you on about, mate? It's a fine pass. Know what you're talking about. Like, it's just so confident in the way that he kicks the balls out. I thought it was good, says Martin. I said the long stuff distribution was fine, but some of the short game, he really did put me on edge for half that game. He really did. Kamal says we need more players like Tierney to have drive and hunger. He was non-stop. He was brilliant. He was really, really good. My hair loves Martinez, apparently. It's great. That picture's horrific. That is not what this looks like. I'm going to wear a hat continuously if this is going to be the way I was getting salted. I've got another one in the post. I'm hoping it's coming. Some merchandise, which we're never going to sell on this channel. Gary Hardy says the first time long ball for Tierney was so good. It was. I mean, the playing it out wide is great. It's fine, and I hope he does that continuously, Gary. I do. But the short passing around the box is just stressful. It's so stressful. Here we go. Alvan says Arteta is a B-Tech Mourinho, allows other teams to get chances and chances their way to a winner. Not that I'm complaining. Results over performance. That's so unfair. Look at you. You put Mourinho in the situation that Arteta's got right now, and he'd be doing so much worse, so much worse. Arteta has been dealt a horrible hand with the mentality that he's had to come into this club that's in complete disarray, and he's got us into an FA Cup semi-final. I'm sorry, but you've got to go and give the guy utter praise for that. Utter praise. And there's a big turn in mentality, because you win a game at the end like that. Winning a game late on shows that things are changing. There's commitment. An Arsenal that we saw against Man City or against Brighton doesn't go and score late on. They drop off. But clearly, things have changed in that dressing room. Clearly, Arteta's had an impact on the mentality of the team. He's turned things around, and it's really, really good to see that. Let's have a word for the goal scorer, Danny Ceballos. I know he wasn't on for very long whatsoever, but he did really well for the minutes that he was on, regardless of him scoring. He annoyed McBurney, which is just great. He had a couple of good turns in the middle of the park and passing out. And we've been critical of the Spaniard quite a lot in the last week or so, talking about some of his performances, that he's not releasing the ball quick enough. But he's energetic, he's dynamic, and his commitment to get into the box ultimately got him into the position where he scored that goal. Really, really good. Let's have a look at some more of your comments. Tiger T says that he's an impact player. He is an impact player, but he's an impact player that can start. That's the thing, is that, yes, he's good off the bench, but I also think that he has a good 90-minute in him if he's partnered in the right way. Playing him deep with Xhaka, whilst I have all the praise in the world for Xhaka, that's not the type of player that I'd put next to Xhaka. It's just, from looking at it long term and from taking everything in that we've seen, it's just not what I would pair. I don't think it gets the best out of either player, and it puts so much pressure on both players to do their jobs really well, which, across 90 minutes, they're not going to be able to do consistently. Pramod, one of our newer members, thank you ever so much for joining us. Pramod says, I would like to see Ceballos in the number 10 slot. And whilst I think he could play there, he is more of a number 8. He's more of a centre mid. And we don't really play with number 8s, because we play with two pivots behind, usually an attacking mid. I know that we play with number 8s today because we were able to in sort of the 3-4-3 system, if you want to call it that. But in a 3-4-3 system, you're then left with just two central players. And Xhaka and Willock, or Xhaka and Ceballos, it's not very balanced because Xhaka doesn't give you that full protection that you need. And that's why I think that, Thomas Partey, just taken for an example, is the perfect player to play in a 3-4-3 because he's got so many attributes about his game, being able to play deep, being able to play centre mid, being able to play even in a more advanced style. He's that perfect guy. You put him and Xhaka in a 3-4-3, and I think you've got a dangerous centre midfield partnership there. So there's so many opportunities that Arsenal have got this summer to really go out there and try and sign some really, really decent players. Again, I'll always maintain the point that bringing in Thomas Partey leaves us in a very financially difficult position, but he is a transformative midfielder. And if he was to come in, you better hope and pray that we qualify for the Champions League, because the financial ramifications would be, I think, bad. But if we brought him in, say, with a Szoboszlai, and you're investing in youth at the same time, I really do think that would sort of balance it out in a way, especially if you move on some of the deadwood like Socrates, etc. Avinash says, let me skip past your comment. Here we go. The midfield of Torreira, Xhaka and Ceballos would actually be really good as a holding mid. And in that way, if you're going to play with those three, you can't play with three at the back. It's going to have to be two. And one other thing I would say is David Luiz at the start did all right, I thought, at the start of the game, but he was playing in a 3. You can't play David Luiz in a back 2. I just don't think it can be done. He needs the extra support of the back to be able to come out of the defence and play the style that he wants to play. You're never going to be able to coach that out of him at 32 years of age. So if you are going to play David Luiz in the back, it has to be in a back 3. It's as simple and as plain as that. Vinny Eagle says, be good for you to do a video on Osei Tutu, mate. We talk a lot about players and potential transfers, but how good is our young right back? Good shout. There's some day. Obviously, the scheduling at the moment is so tough with obviously the amount of games we're playing and the previews, reactions, podcasts, tactical breakdown pods. But whenever there is a gap, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get an expert that's been looking at Bochum this season. So the fingers crossed, that is something that we can get on the channel for sure, Vinny. Good shout, mate. Calvin says, I wasn't comfortable all second half. I would have liked to see more control from Arsenal. We survived this game. We did survive this game, but I think it's the surviving of this game that needs to be praised. I think we managed it well in certain areas. I thought that we really didn't stop the crosses. That was the biggest danger for us, was obviously when they were wide. And what frustrates me most about that is that we're playing a 3-4-3 system where the wide players of Tierney And to be fair, Tierney was fine with this because all their crossing was coming down the left flank. And I suppose that is where you can be critical of Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because he should have been the one closing down the possible crossing and stopping it from happening. But actually, he was caught upfield quite a bit. So whilst he was really good dragging the ball out from the back, actually, it was the areas in the right wing-back position where he struggled to close down the ball being crossed into the box. And that's where we really struggled. Set pieces is always going to be tough. Without Rob Holding in there 24/7, being able to head the ball away so confidently. And for some reason, we mismatch our marking. Danny Ceballos, whilst I love that he annoyed Ollie McBurney, should not be marking their best header of a ball on the pitch. It's as simple as that. Thank you ever so much, Vinny Eagle. I know we just had that on your comments, and I'm hoping that's maybe had an impact on your decision there. But thank you ever so much, Vinny, for becoming a member. As I said, always, you've joined an absolutely fantastic group of members. Really good community going on there. Over on that channel. Exclusive content coming next month for all of our members, and the chance to appear on the show in the Expert Members podcast, which I'm really, really looking forward to getting some of you guys on the show with your views. So looking forward to that. Absolutely fantastic stuff. James Morrison says, Willock, Tierney, Saka and Xhaka had good games. Holding was a little sloppy with his passes today. Many were overhit. Xhaka's dive could have been costly. I really like what Willock gave. I think that's the player I'm going to pick out from your comment there, James. I think Willock really sort of had a completely different game to what we've seen from him against Southampton. Was it Southampton? I feel like it was. I felt like against Southampton, no, it wasn't Southampton. It was, who was it? I'm really having an absolute funny 5 minutes here. But I feel like what I've seen from Willock was slightly different from what we saw today. He was dynamic. He was confident on the ball. He didn't lose it as much. And I mean, LeBron there sums it up perfectly. He grew into the game 100%. And I just think that when you've got someone that young that's having to do so much in a team that's full of experienced players that just aren't performing, there is just elements of that I'd be impressed against. Yeah, I think it was Brighton. I'm sure it was the Brighton game. Thank you guys for suggesting that. I'm pretty sure it was the Brighton game that he was struggling against. Raj says, how about Xhaka getting back the captain's armband? It's a big shout, mate. I'm personally going for a no. I can't accept it after what happened with what he did to the fans. I think it's great that he's come back. I think it's great that he's so important to this side. But I think there's got to be accountability always. Bottom line is there needs to be accountability. And after what he did, no, I just can't. I can't do that. Pete Renner says, Tom, do you think it was too much of a gap between the defence and midfield and attack at times during the match? More so the attack and the midfield. I thought the defence and midfield were okay in terms of the difference between their gaps. But often what we see against Arsenal is a disconnect between the forward line and the midfield. And usually we rely very heavily on our wing-backs. And that's why we've been struggling with Pepe and Bellerin side, because Bellerin just hasn't been at it. I felt Ainsley Maitland-Niles really did help with that side of things. The midfield too, when you're playing in a 3-4-3, there's always going to be the element of that playing. They're going to be more deep, because you've not got three in midfield, you've only got the solid two. So I think that's probably the reason why we saw a bit of a disconnect between the forward line and the midfield and the defence, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Sammy says, you see how Robin Van Persie went on Arsenal even though we won. I don't care. We won. Get a bit of positivity, guys. I'm so sick of negativity. So sick of it. Right, we're going to wrap things up there because I'm, fingers crossed, if he's still alive, going to head over and have a chat with Terry on the Football Terrace. So if you want to continue listening to stuff that I've got to say, hop over to there. But please make sure you drop a subscription on the channel. Thank you ever so much for the members that have joined us. Kitchener joined us recently. And Promod as well. So absolutely fantastic stuff. And it was Vinny Eagle as well. Thank you ever so much, guys, for becoming members today. Really, really appreciate your support. We're going to continue to push out the content, even with the absolute mountain of work that I'm given on a daily basis. But we push on. We push on and we push through. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, people. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your day, and enjoy the rest of the week, of whatever's left of it anyway. See you soon. And as always, podcast tomorrow, 2 podcasts tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for those before I wrap up. 2 podcasts. One is going to be with an official scout, a proper scout that's a scout for a proper football club in Europe. So tune in for that. It's going to be a really, really interesting listen. And the rest will be the normal podcast as well as some of the boys. That was the worst end to a podcast because I nearly wrapped up, but then I had some news for you. But anyway, up the Arsenal. We're in the semi-finals. Come on, you Gunners.